So here we are with one of our other students, Jordan. Now Jordan has been inside Club Closer for the last 6 months, and this month last month he hit his first 10k a month and 15k a month. So he kind of blew past the 10k a month mark. Jordan used to come from car sales. He's from Scotland, so I think a lot of you guys watching this are going to relate to him and his story. But yeah, Jordan, why don't you start by telling us sort of like your background, what got you started inside Club Closer, why high ticket closing?
So yeah, I mean, like Marcus said, I came from a car sales background. I was in car sales for 3 years, basically straight after I left school. I was doing well in it, crushing everything, but the hours were just criminal. I was probably doing 10, 11-hour days pretty much every single day, working every single weekend. It just drove me insane. Obviously, very young, I'm only 21, and I was from 18 to 20, working every single day, every single weekend. Had no life, was making good money, but what's the point of making any money if you can't have any time to spend it? So for me, it seemed like an obvious choice. I saw it. I saw all the stuff on Marcus' Instagram, all the other guys inside traveling, living this life and doing what I wanted to do and making the same, if not more money than me. And I thought, if they can do it, why can't I? Especially with the training that Club Closer could provide. So I joined in February, got straight into it, stuck into everything. And after 1 month, I was part-time, making an additional 3 to 5k on top of my income. After 1 month of that, I thought, if this is part-time, what the hell's full-time going to be like? Sacked off my job and been full-time ever since. Just come back from living for 6 weeks inside of Sevilla, Spain. And then now, obviously with the Club Closer boys in Girona, living life.
Sick. So I think what I want to know is how much were you earning with car sales? Because you were doing pretty well with that, right? You were top of your team.
Top of the company, actually.
Top of the company, all right. Even better.
In terms of car sales, it was kind of a mix between the months in car sales are very different. January to May are very slow. So it's anywhere from 5 to my best ever month was 11.5k. So wildly different. Still great money, but like I say, there's no point in making money if you literally have no time outside of it.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So what was the deciding factor? Or like, were you aware of high ticket closing before, or was like literally seeing my ads on Instagram or seeing similar ads the first thing that got you interested? And did you ever look at any other avenues of like make money online? Was anything else interesting to you before? Or?
It's something I've always wanted to do. People of my age, we all see it, the Instagram influencers, all these people, Iman Gatti, these kind of guys who are driving about in their Rolls Royces, living in Dubai, and they're working online and they have all these things you can go and do. And I was always looking for that thing, and they never really made sense to me. I tried drop shipping, I tried Amazon FBA, I tried pretty much everything there is out there. And then I was like, I already have the skill of sales. And even if it doesn't work online, I'm going to get better at sales and make more money doing whatever I do. So it just was the reasonable choice. And I came across high ticket sales. One of my best friends got into it, was doing okay with it and had no sales experience. So I thought, if he can do this, why can't I? And then obviously I came across Club Closer, saw it was a bunch of British guys all over the world. And I was like, wow, this is somewhere I could fit in and I feel like I'd be a great fit for. So when I saw the ads, it was kind of a no-brainer. And then obviously speaking to Tom, speaking to you guys, it was, this is the perfect thing for me.
Were there any apprehensions at all about obviously like buying a training program or getting into the space, or anything that you're like most scared or most worried about whilst jumping in and like making the switch from the car sales?
Of course. I mean, it was the first time I'd ever invested money online into something. Like I'd always just try to do it off of YouTube or do it off of other things. And then I was very apprehensive to start with, but then when I dove in and I saw it was hundreds and hundreds of guys who've all done the same thing and made that switch and invested in themselves, and they were all real as well. And when I was asking for help, I was getting more answers than I wanted. I almost couldn't reply to them all. And I was like, wow, this is real. So the investing online was the scariest part, but once I did it,
Had you ever invest in yourself before? Like anything?
Nothing.
So what made you invest in this and not previously with Amazon, with anything else you've ever tried? What was the deciding factor?
I didn't believe in them. Like there was people who were getting results, but like I say, they were all driving about in these cars trying to show off how much money they had. Whereas your page was very focused around people who had been in the community and had success. And there wasn't any bragging. It was just you and the community. And for me, that was what made me hop on a call first off. And then after speaking to Tom as well, such a genuine guy who very similar to myself. And I thought, wow, this is actually not one of those internet money guru things. This is a real community to help people. And from there, it was
I think that's the thing a lot of people mess up in the online space, is they don't realise the people they're selling to, and they create such a gap between the individual of like, oh, I'm driving around in this nice Lamborghini, I live in a penthouse in Dubai, I've got all these watches. But the people they're selling to, the guys that are working regular jobs like yourself, that stretch seems so far away. It's like you need to see the relatability to people that have recently got into the space and have recently started having success. And that's what we try and push as much as possible, is show that side. No one actually cares about me. Once you bought in, you don't care about me. I'm not the thing that's going to make you successful. It's getting motivated by the other guys. It's getting motivated by the community and really just putting in the work.
Yeah, 100%. And like you say, it is that difference where a lot of these other guys, it's almost like you want to be me. Like you get in this community, this mentorship to be me. Whereas with yourself and Club Closer, it was very much a, we want to help you. It's not about Marcus. It's all really, it's all about Club Closer, which was the big difference for me, was it's about the community rather than about just the one guy.
Yeah, absolutely. But the thing is, like, you've, again, like anyone that joins, it's them putting in the work. Like, it's you that put in the work to get the results. Obviously we help, and we have helped, and we can help, but it's ultimately down to you. So what made you put in the work at the start? Because I think that's one of the common questions we get, is how can I balance my 9-to-5 job and then picking up high ticket closing on the side? Is that a viable option? Can I actually do it? Be interesting to hear from someone that actually has.
For me, the way I did it was I found an offer I got on well with a guy, sold him on the interview, and he loved me and said, look, I want someone full-time. I said, I'm going to be honest, I can't do full-time until I know that I'm going to be able to securely and safely pay my bills every single month. So I said to him, I said, look, I'll start part-time. I'll do the hours I can do. I'll prove to you how valuable I will be as part-time. If it works as you say, I'll go full-time, I'll go all in. And we had that agreement because of not only the training I had from Club Closer, but also my ability in sales previously helped me get that leverage up. And he went ahead with it, did really well, like I said, part-time, made the transition full-time and took off from there. But to start with, it was difficult, obviously with the mad hours, but it was a case of...
Yeah, I don't want to sugarcoat it. You were working fucking hard.
I was working 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. and then I would work from 8 p.m. to 1 a.m. And I'm not advising people to go and do that. But for me, it was a case of how badly do I want this? And I could spend 3-6 months doing that for the rest of my life. Well, to earn the rest of my life living in Bali, Spain, for 6 months, it's more than worth it to me, and it just made sense.
So you just viewed it like bigger picture, like I will almost suffer for the next 3 to 6 months. I'll work my arse off, and the payoff is so much greater that it's going to be worth it, even if I'm sacrificing the short term.
100%. I sacrificed those 2 months for what I view as the rest of my life.
So I know you, Jordan, and I know you like to enjoy yourself. How did you turn away or turn off those distractions of like going and hanging out with your friends, going to parties, enjoying yourself, to be like, okay, I'm locking in on this? What was the fire beneath you that made you do that?
Because I looked at it as I had 2 options. I could either not fully put everything into Club Closer and half try with it and still go party, drink, and do all these things that I enjoy doing. Or I could take 2-3 months and just dial in, focus on closing and my work. And then I'd have a lifetime of where I can work Monday to Friday, take the weekend off, and I could be in Bali, I can be in Ibiza. And hopefully there's someone from Aberdeen watching this and they can attest to this, is I'd much rather have that than go out in Aberdeen for 2-3 months. So to me, the sacrifice again just made sense.
Aberdeen's still there for you as well.
Yeah, I'll be back very soon.
Sick. So again, like another thing a lot of people don't really talk about is kind of, you know, how hard it is in a sense. Like, what was the most challenging thing from you? Obviously, you're someone, like many people watching, have a lot of sales experience already. What was the biggest difference or the biggest changes from going from car sales, doing the whole sales process, to, you know, doing the sales calls where you're just focused on selling? Were there any differences, you know, during the sales process, or?
The biggest difference for me was just adapting to the idea of not having to set the appointments or like go out and chase leads. Like from car sales, where you have to go out on the pitch, you have to pick up everybody that comes through, you have to dial, and they were coming to me. It meant that I had to focus a lot more on the actual art of closing the deal, rather than where I dialed my process before was generating the leads and introductions and stuff like that. Whereas now it was all focused on the actual needle mover, which is getting them into the program, the mentorship, or buying the service.
Did you struggle with, like, because obviously I imagine previously you'd built a bit of rapport, relationship with somebody before the call, you know, through that kind of nurturing, that appointment setting process. Did you struggle when you jumped on the call and this person, you kind of only had a handful of notes, you didn't really know anything about them, or?
A little bit. To start with, it was one of the biggest things I struggled with, was not knowing anything or not having that introduction in real life, or not being able to shake their hand and get them a coffee, get them a tea, and instantly have that level of rapport built. But it's something that now obviously I've come over, and now it comes quite naturally, just jumping on the call and being able to build that rapport right off the bat.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. And I guess the last thing I really want to ask you is, what's the biggest advice you would give to someone that's looking at entering the space, whether they've got sales experience or they haven't? What's the biggest thing you would say that they need to look at or consider when making that decision?
When making the decision, the first thing to look at is just look at the people inside. If you're watching the testimonials and you think these guys are wildly different to me, that's probably not the program for you. But when I looked at Club Closer, for example, there was a bunch of testimonials I watched and I was like, oh my God, this guy is very similar to me. And I knew that if I jumped in, I could get on with that guy, or I could have a good relationship with him. Because the people who are going to move the needle for you the most inside of a community, it isn't the coaches, it isn't the guy running it. It's going to be the other people inside of it. Because you're going to be able to relate to them a lot more, and they're going to be able to help you with things that they've experienced last week rather than 3 years ago, 4 years ago.
Exactly, yeah.
So for me, that is my biggest thing, is look at the community. Even reach out to somebody in the community. You can, if you go on, you're looking at a coaching program, look at the comments. There'll be people commenting. Reach out to them on Instagram, ask to jump on a Zoom call, meet them, and that's the best way I've found to judge a community based off.
That's fair. And what about somebody that's looking and considering just high ticket closing as a whole, as a financial vehicle, and they're thinking about it, comparing it to other potential options?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely, I'd say it's the best way to make money online, because with making money online, it's almost looked at as like a taboo or a scam. But sales is a real life skill. Every single business has salespeople. So even if, say, you get into high ticket sales, you become the greatest closer in the world and you can't land an offer, you can get any sales job and you'll absolutely crush it and you'll make a ton of money.
Yeah.
So sales makes the most sense. You can start drop shipping, and if you don't make any money, you can't
Back to zero.
then go get a drop shipping job at a store.
Yeah.
Whereas if you do all the high ticket closing and for whatever reason it doesn't work for you, you can go get another sales job.
You can always go back to car sales. You could go to Spain, sell yachts, sell over the phone, like anything. You've got that skill. You cannot, nobody can take that away from you.
100%.
Sick. All right, Jordan, well, appreciate your time. And let's go karting.
100%.